I'm Dr. Revels, and you're listening to the REVELSations podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. And remember, we're all family and friends here, so you can call me Rev. Since we are all family and friends, please share this with somebody that'll really help the channel grow. The topic of today's verse is the tail wags the dogs, majoring in minors. Let's get into some dictionary definitions like we like to do here on the REVELSations podcast so we're all on the same page. Definition number one will be major. Major is something that is important, serious, or significant. The use of drugs is a major problem. It's a big deal. It is a main idea. It is the main part of something, the major, something that's very important. Then you have a minor. The minor is something that is less important, less serious, less significance. Best way I can describe the difference between a major and a minor and what we're talking about today is when we go to college and people have a major. The question is, what are you majoring in? And people tend to focus on that. So, for example, Dr. Rev, originally when I went and got my bachelor's degree, I majored in history education. That was my major. Most of my classes focused on history. My mind was focused on history. They were preparing me to be a historian and go and teach history classes. But I did have a minor, and that minor was political science. I had to take government classes, other political science classes, so I sort of understood how the world worked politically. And then I said, we sometimes major in minors, and that is the tail wagging the dog. So if we talk about majoring in minors, it is when we're focusing on insignificant or trivial details while neglecting the most important aspect or task of a project. So we're focusing on the smaller parts of the project, the smaller part of the entity, instead of the main idea of it all. So imagine in my college example, I'm spending more hours focusing on my political science minor than I am on my major. I'm letting my papers in my history class suffer, and I'm really focusing on these political science projects. Well, that's not necessarily the best thing I can do because my major, the thing that's going to help me graduate, is focusing on the history class, the history degree. The political science, yeah, that's there and it helps, but it's not the main idea. And as I said, the tail wags the dog, which is an idiom that describes a situation where a smaller, less important part of something is controlling or dominating, or we're focusing on that more than we are the larger. So we have some examples in our everyday life about the tail wagging the dog and majoring in minors in relationships. So imagine you're focusing on, you want to take somebody out on a date and you're focusing on the perfect date, where to eat, how to dress, the playlists to play in the car, whether you get flowers or not, ladies, the dress you want to wear, etc. Instead of focusing on conversations, emotional vulnerability, resolving deeper issues that you may have to make sure you're the person that that person wants to date. Personal growth, for example, we're reading self-help books, motivational podcasts every day, but we're not setting goals, we're not making changes, we're not stepping outside of our comfort zone. We're focusing on, I listen to books and I listen to podcasts and I write 3 things about myself that I like every day. We have some other examples as well. Maybe saving money. We're clipping coupons to save money. All right, well, look, I'm gonna shop at this store at this time because they have a sale here, a sale there. But we're not focused on having a budget. We have high interest credit cards, we have high interest loans. Those type of things are majoring in minors, or letting the tail wag the dog. And I think we need to try to stop that. And I think we all do it in some instances where we're focused on things that we truly we think we care about, but they aren't the major issues that are impacting our world. Some of the major issues that are impacting our world is like social media. We're focusing on likes. Oh, do you like this? And let me filter this picture, and how many followers do I have, and who should I follow, and who can see my statuses and who should not. But there's a major issue at play. Mental health issues of the comparison culture that happens with social media. Screen addiction, where we're on our screen swiping left and right, thumbs upping things, thumb downing all day, 8 hours a day. The need for the likes, the obsession, and what that's doing, the validation and the need for others. I mean, we focus on education and we say, hey, you know what? We got to get good grades. We got to get good test scores. Trust me, I'm in the education space. This happens all the time. People are like, I want to make sure my kid's at school every day, and they're focusing on these things that are minor. But the major part of it all is the student's well-being. How much are they actually learning? Are they critically thinking? Are they becoming creative? Are they using real world skill development? In politics, we're arguing over symbolic gestures or cancel culture. You called this person a pronoun that they didn't like. But what are the real major issues that we have? Affordable housing. There's homeless people all over the place. Healthcare reform. There are people living and dying because they don't have proper healthcare. Education equality. We know that's a problem where, depending on where you live, plays an outcome on how well you're educated. And just systemic inequality and systemic injustice. These are the major things, but we seem to be majoring in the minors. If we think about it and we're honest with each other, do we talk about pronouns more, or do we talk about affordable housing more? Do we talk about test scores more in school, or do we talk about what the student is actually learning? In our social media, do we really focus on how this is impacting us, or we focus on, I want to swipe and I want to scroll and I want to see what the latest person, the latest fashion trend is, or what my favorite musical artist or my favorite influencer has to say? And I believe when we do that, we end up focusing more on the minor things in our life, and we're neglecting the major things in our life, our well-being, our mental health, our physical health, because we're more worried about our outer appearance and getting validation from others. And that's dangerous. That is so, so dangerous. And our political and cultural world as well. We're focusing on what people are called instead of how we're actually treating people and how we're helping people live the best lives that they can live. And I think we're in danger. I do. I think we're in danger when we begin to major and minors and we begin to let the tail wag the dog and we focus on these things that are not nearly as important as the betterment of our lives. And people are out here dying because of pressures, and suicide rates are going up, and violence is abound. But we're focused on things that are like that are not as important, things that we really don't care about. How often have you ran to a blog or ran to a social media post and you want to fire off your comment about something that someone said that you didn't like, or how somebody dressed, or a trend? Does that really matter? Is that something that we really should be focusing our energy on when we're walking and driving past people every day who are homeless, and we're not talking to our councilmen and our councilwomen and our political partners about how do we get these homeless people off the street, when we can see that there is a decline in not only equitable education, but the value of education? We see it. Talk to younger people. They don't seem to be as focused on education as people of yesteryear. But we would rather focus on how people dress, or what people's preferred names. And I'm not saying those things are important. Remember, minors don't mean they're not important. That just means they're less important. The more important thing is, are we teaching people to be good humans? Are our students having mental well-being? And I would say not. Look at all the violence that happens in schools. Look at the school shootings we have. Look at the drug rates that we have in our youth, in our minors. It's high. Those are the things that we should be focused on more. Those are the majors instead of focusing on the minors. But I can't pretend that I'm not a part of that. And I don't sometimes focus on minors instead of majors. I try not to. But most of these podcast episodes, as you know, I'm talking to myself as I'm talking to the masses as well. That I need to do a better job of focusing on the things that are major, the things that are more important, and not necessarily focusing on the minor things. And when we do that, I believe that the world will be a better place, that we'll actually see substantive change. A part of it is it's the left hand is moving because they really don't want to see what the right hand is doing. You've heard something like that before, where maybe, just maybe, there are these terrible things that a certain group of people are profiting off of, or a certain group of people are getting more power from, or a certain group of people want to cover up or hide. And they're like, man, if I'm exposed, all these things will happen. I'll lose my power. I'll lose my influence. I'll lose my money. So let me put in the algorithm these minors, these things that I know people will care about that aren't nearly as important. We don't talk about global warming as much as we could, as much as we should, and what we're doing to our planet. I think industry is good. Don't get me wrong. We need industry. We need growth. We have more people on the planet today than we've ever had in the history of our world. So we need to manufacture things. But what are we doing to our planet? But instead of focusing on what we're doing to our planet, we would rather focus on a celebrity and what he said or she said and who got caught on video kissing this person or that person and who said this and who said that and who's dressed in this way and who's dressing that way. And it's a ploy. It's a ploy to get us to major and minors and let the tail wag the dog and to have us focusing on or being controlled by something that is not nearly as important. Don't we want to leave this earth better than we found it? And trust me, we found it in a wretched way. But we can, but not if we continue to major in minors and let the tail wag the dog. What do you think? Look at your life. Do you have instances where the tail is wagging the dog, where you are majoring in minors, where you're focused on things that are less important? Look at your relationships with a significant other, with your kids or what have you. Are you focusing on buying them things, or are you focusing on keeping peace in the house instead of working on healing, working on connectedness, working on becoming better? Those are the majors we need to major in. But sometimes we're majoring in those minors, smoothing things over. We did a verse earlier, the difference between a peacemaker and a peacekeeper. Peacekeepers are majoring in minors. Peacekeepers are majoring in minors. Peacemakers are majoring in majors. They're not letting the tail wag the dog. They're letting the dog wag the tail. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. Thank you again for listening to the REVELSations podcast. I am because we are. Hallelujah. Holla back. Peace.
Yeah, the revelations now televised. A platform for you and I. An outlook with full heart and clear eyes. Now, these are just my thoughts. Truth on how I feel on these topics I reveal. Please know my toll, I always keep it real. Can't face the word if you can't face facts. For your time, just open up your mind. That's it, just live, think big, now take that. With God in me, this here was made by design. Yeah, the revelation will be televised. REVELSations.